Hi, it's Jamie with UK Extension, and we're talking about specific houseplant pests today, and the first one on our list is mealybug. If you haven't encountered mealybug, it is fairly pernicious. It's fairly widespread. It's probably the most common pest of houseplants we hear about. And let's talk about the pest, what control options you have, and kind of how it operates. So mealybug is the easiest to spot of these pest problems generally because you see the insects themselves, which are these little white spots. Good places to look are around the leaf axils where they tend to congregate. When you have them really badly, it's almost unmistakable. But another good clue, and it's not necessarily unique to mealybugs, but if you get this dark, moldy, sooty stuff, this is actually called sooty mold. The black mold is actually a harmless reaction to sugars in the sap of the plant. But the sap is escaping and finding its way onto the leaves through where the mealybug is feeding, but also through the sugary waste it excretes on the leaf. So this is just a harmless symptom that occurs as a result of the sugars being expelled outside of the leaf. So fairly easy to spot, and mealybug is not easily controlled. Part of that is because the adult females have a waxy coating that kind of shelters them from potential insecticides and other things you could use to control them. So they are protected, a lot like some scale insects. So they are not easily corrected. If you catch the problem in time, and this is where scouting becomes important, if you're not thoroughly looking at and inspecting your houseplants on a weekly basis, you're missing things like this before they get full blown. So being thorough, spending time looking is your best method of controlling and preventing these things, is catch them before they get there or before they become epidemics. So mealybug, when detected early, is fairly easy to control. When there's just a few of these, you can simply take a Q-tip dipped in alcohol. Here's about the only organic option I'm going to discuss with you that's fairly effective. It's time consuming. You have to go in there and you remove every little bit of this with that alcohol, and this is not a one and done. You're going to continue to repeat that weekly until you see no more signs. And once you've seen mealybugs, you can never assume they're all gone. So you have to just keep coming back and checking and checking. That is vastly the easiest way. If you wait until you've got something like this, you've got a problem on your hands. There are very few chemical pesticides that can be used safely indoors for houseplants. There are a few organic options, but I'll be perfectly honest with you, neem oil has some minor efficacy as an insecticide, usually soft-bodied insects, and it has to be used regularly to work, and it only kills on contact. So while it will help, I would not look to neem oil to be your silver bullet when it comes to things like this. And somebody's going to suck wind when I say this, but I'm just going to put it out there. If you've allowed a houseplant to get really infested with mealybug and it's been out for the summer, or whether it's been in, regardless, if you are not outrageously sentimentally attached to that plant, chuck it. Your life will be easier. Your other plants will be healthier for it. Sometimes you just have to suck it up and say, this is bigger than I care to take on. I don't have enough time in my life. I'm throwing the plant out. And that is really, really a very good way to keep things from spreading throughout your whole collection of houseplants if you have more than one. So as all insects, mealybug, like all of them, tends to be more attracted and more of a problem on plants that are under stress. So proper management, proper light levels, all of these things will help. You can use some chemical controls, but we're not going to talk about those today because they're very specific to each individual circumstance. We're not fans of using them, but if you're really backed into a corner, we can tell you some things that might work for your situation. But by and large, it's not something we recommend. The proper approach would be to look for them early and get them when you can still use them with some fairly harmless materials. So this is Jamie talking about mealybug. We'll cover lots of houseplants pests in this series, but mealybug the most common, the most easy to spot, and one that can be controlled if caught early.